There is a word called Deeksha, which is giving Sanyas, the renunciate life for the disciple. And what is that idea and what is that program and how is it working? Generally, this is the question. And how you could get the, or how you could get the Deeksha from a master, Guru. Here, two main questions are there. One, who is the Guru? Who is the master? And who is the disciple? These two questions needs to be addressed to answer the question. Who is a master? Master is the one who have crossed the ignorance and he remains in knowledge and wisdom. The word Guru, as you know, the one who takes you out of the darkness of ignorance. It is a combination of two words, Gu and Ru. Guru. The meaning is one who takes the disciple from the darkness of ignorance to knowledge, the light of knowledge. So it could be given or it could be initiated by one who is staying in the consciousness. Guru is the master itself and Guru is the consciousness itself. So it is very difficult to recognize the Guru if we are not in that state of consciousness. Always when we approach a master, we are looking at the master with our state of affairs, with our mind. If our mind is very active and having some intentions, apart from the intention of emancipation, it will be very difficult to recognize a master because we assess the master with all the content which is there in our consciousness. And master, the idea of master is beyond. So we can never locate a master or understand a master. We can become a master. Slowly and gradually by your practice, you can become the master. It's very difficult to understand a master unless you are the master. That's the problem. So, suppose you believe, there comes the question of belief. Suppose you believe that this is an enlightened master. We don't know what is enlightenment. We have some ideas of enlightenment. And if the person whom you meet as the master fit in with your idea of enlightenment, then you feel that the person is really an enlightened master. And you cannot verify it because you are staying in a different state of consciousness in the realm of the mind. The master is not staying in the realm of the mind, he is staying in the consciousness itself. Master is the consciousness itself. And then spontaneously, as a response, he responds to things that happens around. A spontaneous response is taking place all the time in the master. And it is sheer spontaneity and not calculated dialogues or not calculated way of living, nothing like that. So that is the reason why it is so difficult to understand and recognize a master. Most of the time, you may misunderstand the master. But anyway, suppose according to your idea about the master and you found out that particular master who can be fitting with your ideas of master, then the master come closer to you. As and when there is a need, the master comes closer to you. Master is the consciousness itself, so it is there everywhere. And when you are in dire need and terrible need of your evolution, the master appears because you see the master, because of your terrible need. Nothing other than emancipation is important for a person. When that person comes to that particular level, he sees the master. Otherwise, it is very difficult. Then some, as I was saying, some ideas are there. With that idea, we follow somebody and they initiate you. There are programs for initiations. This is the master. Then who is the disciple? Who could be a disciple? Disciple, the word disciple comes from the root word discipline. And they together decide to follow certain disciplines. We are looking for liberation, but we are following certain discipline. Because through the discipline, we go there and finally we break everything and then become free. Seemingly, this idea is not very, or the idea doesn't seem like a beyond contradiction. There is contradiction. You are looking for freedom, but you follow certain special norms to reach the goal. So that needs to be explored. Anyway, disciple is the one who has certain quality, who need to have certain qualities. He need to have focus of mind, basically. Then there is detachment from the activities of the mind. All kinds of attachments which we have, either in this world or elsewhere, needs to be examined. And that should be the quality of a disciple. So he is ready to cross. Then the desire to be free is very important. Unless you have the desire to be free, you cannot be considered as a disciple. So an intense urge and desire to make yourself completely free from the bondages of your mind is the quality of the disciple. When you get that quality, then also the feeling to be detached from the known and the experiences that you get into on the way of the unknown. And you don't establish a attachment with that. That's another quality of the disciple. Then Shamadhi Shatka Sambati, Shamam, Damam, Tidiksha, Uparadi, Sadhana, Dhyanam, Samadhanam. These are the qualities of a disciple. And when a person has this kind of balance, equanimity, then perseverance, mind to cross all the difficulties that come on the way, then a mind to get over the as I was saying, get over the difficulties and reaching the goal, even if there are a lot of hindrances on the way. Then control of the mind, control of the senses, shamam, damam, tidiksha, perseverance. Then samadhanam, a calmness of mind, shraddha, that is one-pointedness and devotion to the master. These are the prerequisites. And so the master is an established person in his consciousness that when he meets a disciple having these qualities, he recognizes that, of course, this is a person who could go and reach the goal. Otherwise, he will not reach the goal. So an enlightened master may not waste his time, and he will not enter into things which are meaningless. And so he waits to see whether the disciple has all these qualities. And maybe the disciple, the person who is around him, has to wait long time to get into the quality. This is the first step. And when the master understands or feel that now it is ready, the person is ready to be initiated into sannyas. So when that decision comes, then usually in the tradition, the master put certain test. And then when the disciple crossed the test, then he is fit enough to get into sannyas. And the disciple will be sent for begging. That is one of the steps. And you may be born in a family with a great background, and now you look for freedom. So you come to the master. The master feels that, okay, he can be initiated, but he has to undergo the test. He sent him for begging. And when you go for begging, you cannot actually ask for food or anything. The masters sit in the ashram without eating. The disciple is sent. He goes there in front of a house and stay there, and he can say some mantra or the names of some sacred names of the tradition gods or whatever, and he waits there. Somebody comes from the house and see you, and then recognize that you are so healthy boy. Why are you begging? Why can't you go there and do your work and get some earning and live your life instead of begging? Are you ashamed of doing this? Or some houses, they close their door against you. So all these things will touch the person if he is not ready. So if he cannot say anything back, whether they give it or not, you have to just praise the Lord. And then if you get, you get. If you don't get, you don't get. But you are not eating anything, you are just begging, and maybe you may get something. And you are very peaceful, you get it, you bring it home to the ashram, bring it back to the ashram, and the master and the disciple, they cook together the food which is brought by the disciple, and then they eat. And so these are great tests in the tradition. And when you really get a control over your mind, this is control of the mind, control of the senses. Shamam, damam, control of the senses, control of the mind. Titiksha, perseverance. You may get into a lot of obstacles, but you have to get over it. And when you have that mind to get over the obstacles, you are actually in a good position to continue the path of knowledge. So all these things, there will be a day fixed by the master for initiating the disciple. And before that, there are a lot of rituals. And in this ritualistic program, one of the main thing is the person who is going to be initiated is just dropping the life that he has as if he is dead. The rituals are like that. And then you are not the same person. You are going to be a different person. The old person is dead. You cannot think about the things that has happened in the past. You are newborn. And the sacrificial fire is kept, and then in the fire, from the fire, the master takes the saffron dress. I'm saying about the tradition, but you don't have to undergo all these things. Sanyas is going deep inside yourself, finding it out. But as you ask the question what the master, the role of the master and the disciple in the initiation of Sanyas, I'm saying some of the points. This is the traditional system. And then from the sacred fire, you are really finished in the fire. The idea is you are sacrificing yourself into the holy fire, and then you get out with no conflict of any kind. And finally, the saffron is the symbol of fire, and he takes the clothes, the saffron colored cloth from the fire, and offer it to him. And then he takes it. And now he is reborn. Then he is not following anything which he was doing before. Now his only intention is to go ahead for freedom. And that is why it is also said by people in the village that you cannot ask the name of the previous history of a sannyasi, because he has no previous history. He has forgotten everything. And he dropped everything. So the capacity to drop everything that is held in the mind is one of the basic prerequisites for a person to get initiated in sannyas. And if you don't have that capacity, what will happen? Slowly, we get some powers or something like that through practice, and the old stuff will pop up and we will spoil everything. And backlashes will happen. And so this is a ritualistic system which was kept in the tradition all through. Even now it is continuing, but it's a long time practice and association with the master, and you have to cross the test of the master, and then finally the master initiates you into the new life. And then you follow the new life with absolute attention, fully focused life, and big sacrifice, and living in the confidence which is given by your master. You may come across a lot of difficulties. The confidence that you have is that you are surrendered to the master. And if there is a need, the master will protect me. And master is everything. Master is the new father for you, and he is mother for you, and he is master and he is God for you. And you surrender completely, that you have no separate self of your own. And then you have gone far ahead in this process. And then one day we live together like that with absolute attention, and one day the master leaves you, leaves his body, and unknowingly, without even thinking, you will sit in the same place and carry on the things which your master were doing, and somebody will come to you, and then you continue the same thing, and it goes on giving to new generations all the time. Thereby, the knowledge is kept intact, the wisdom is kept intact in the tradition. But it all depends upon the master and the disciple. And then if the saffron is very attractive, and take the saffron and do something with the saffron, that is also possible. But it is not the dress, or it is not the appearance, or it is not the beard or the mustache or the hair or the saffron that makes the person enlightened. It is the deep meditation that you do within yourself and focus yourself completely to see what is happening in the mind all the time. And then your life becomes a meditative life, and the meditation will integrate you with the absolute witness, the silence, and you are the master. Thank you.